I have 3 guitars in the studio that are so rare and so unique. This might be the only time you ever see them together in the same room.
Guitar Stuff with John!
So, Yamaha. Yamaha and I go back all the way to when I was 7. The first time I ever saw my brother David's Yamaha Fg 1500. This guitar came from the custom shop in Hamamatsu, Japan. Was built out of Brazilian rosewood. It was a masterpiece guitar. It was the most incredible instrument that I'd ever seen to that point. And as I grew up into my teens and early 20s, I still never saw a guitar better than my brother's Yamaha. And if you care to look that model up, you'll see why. They were unbelievable. Built by one luthier. Now, this guitar cost $1,000 in 1973. Think about that for a second. How much is that in today's money? So, the magic of Yamaha is so diverse. They started building guitars in 1966. Before that, the master luthiers who came to design these guitars eventually were already building world-class gold medal winning classical guitars. A lot of these master luthiers ended up working at the shop in Hamamatsu. So they were staffed with genius builders right from day one. And they wanted to compete with American guitars. They saw the folk boom. They saw the sales among Martin and Gibson. And they said, well, we're going to build a guitar that's going to be every man's guitar, affordable, high quality, low cost, right? So that's what they did. They took the best of both worlds. They took the Martin-style body and the Gibson-style body. These were the two most popular shapes in the market. They made something that was in between the dreadnought and the slope-shouldered dread that Gibson was building. And they did it with math and geometry, a group of circles. And they created this body shape that is only on Yamahas. You only ever see this weird, beautiful shape. They flooded the market with affordable instruments. And how many people, you think about this for a second, how many people have started playing the guitar with a Yamaha? Hundreds of thousands of us. These guitars created a love of guitar among millions of people because they were affordable and they were high quality. How many of you, there's always this one guy that you know, a friend, an acquaintance, or even maybe you yourself, and me included, who has that 45-year-old Yamaha that sounds like a D18 Martin, and it's a laminate guitar. And it survived 50 years, and it's still playing, sounds great, it happens. They built so many freaks in their factory line. That all aside, the core of the artisans in the Yamaha Corporation. And we got to remember something. Yamaha is huge. They build everything from snowmobiles to soundboards. But there's a core group of people in that company, artisans, who they crave the act of creating something beautiful. Yamaha means mountain blade. And I was told by somebody from the company that came from Japan to visit us one year here in Charlottetown, that what that means is it's the highest pinnacle, the sharpest edge at the highest pinnacle. The art form at its most cutting edge, as high as you can ascend. What a noble idea that is to put behind the building of musical instruments. All the while that these normal commercial guitars were out there was always a custom shop operating in Hamamatsu, and the custom shop was overseen by a single master luthier. And there was 12 to 14 people / students in this shop working with nothing but hand tools. I was told one time that they could build guitars in Hamamatsu by candlelight. because there was no electricity needed. They all, and I saw pictures and video of them, these young people, even old people who had been there for years. There was one woman in her 70s at a bench with a homemade knife, tools that they make themselves, carving bracing, scalloping bracing, and shaping it and sanding it, and she was just so intent and beautiful in her actions. It was almost something, martial art about it. I hate this, it's a silly thing to say, but it's true. Her movements were so precise and so beautiful, and she was there shaping these braces. That's all she did there for God knows how many years, right? She was a master of that part of guitar construction. This shop has made guitars for everybody from Brian May from Queen, John Denver, Paul Simon, Mac Wiseman, a bluegrasser. He played nothing but LL45 Yamaha guitars. They've been building guitars for 54 years that are ridiculous. They really are. When you see some of these instruments and realize what they cost. I've owned several Yamahas in my lifetime that were well over $10,000 for retail, right? They make a guitar that easily surpasses most other builders when it's coming from that custom shop. Now, you guys have seen L Series guitars hanging in every music store you ever walk into, because the L Series has been back for quite a few years now. And it's representative of their work in Hamamatsu. These guitars are at the lower level are built in the Chinese shop, which is a larger factory setting, more workers, but still at benches. They're putting out the F3 red labels and stuff like that. Those guitars are just killer guitars. And so you've seen L6s and L16s, right? We've seen them. We know what they look like. We know what they sound like. They're beautiful guitars. You can see an L6, and then you can see, and they come in 3 different body sizes. L, which is standard dreadnought, S, which is the small body or OM size, and J, which is their advanced jumbo body. So LS, L, and LJ. So you can get any of those body sizes in a 6 or a 16 or a 16D, which stands for deluxe, which is a 16 with abalone trim around the outside edge. And they're amazing. They only cost like $1,300, and they're one of the best handmade guitars you can buy. A lot of this goes over people's heads. It really does. People look at Yamaha and think, well, my Boy Scout leader used to play one of those on the beach, or my Uncle Bill had one and it had a hole through the front where he shot it with a BB gun, and on and on and on. Like this, people look at it and instantly discount it because they're so well known as being everybody's first guitar. Boy, are you missing out if you're not aware of what they actually can do in that custom shop in Hamamatsu, and I'm going to show you right now what they can do. With me in this video, part 1 of the Holy Trinity of the Yamaha Handmades, I have an LJ26. Now this guitar is a prime example of the workmanship that comes from the custom shop in Hamamatsu. This guitar is signed by Hiroshi Sakurai, the master luthier there. I've had several of his guitars, and I'm telling you, these boys and girls can build a guitar like nobody's business. And this body shape is an advanced jumbo style shape. See how it's very pretty, the way it's designed. It has a fairly deep body. It's not a decreased body as it would be in most OM kind of sizes. It's a full size depth. It's made out of beautiful Indian rosewood, Engelmann spruce top, bound in maple, ebony everything, bone everything, brass, solid brass butterbean tuners that are made by Goto. And this wicked design they use, this 5-piece neck, which we'll take a close look at. But this guitar is a fingerstyle picker's dream, and a flat picker's. I want you to hear it. Now listen to it in drop C. Most guitars can't tolerate drop C because it's so low that they just bottom out. They have no power left. This guitar has light strings on it, as I love anyway. Check out the bottom end of this guitar in drop C. It's just astounding. Wow. Now here's a little open G for you. And some flat picking in drop D. Just ring. It would ring for 3 days. Let's take a close look at the guitar itself, because you really got to take a gander at how this thing is built. So we start at the headstock with the Yamaha and the rosewood headstock veneer, ebony fretboard, beautiful snowflake inlays made out of real pearl. And the back, as you can see, the rosewood in this is just ridiculous. It was hard to film this guitar because it's so reflective. It's got a beautiful nitrous finish, just amazing. Look at the sides, all bound in maple. Beautiful, tight grain Indian rosewood. The top, the grain is exceptionally tight and even. They picked the best tone woods they can get. Ebony bridge, bone saddle, plastic pegs, unfortunately, but a lot of people still do that. And there, of course, we see Hiroshi's signature and the little leather sticker there inside, and the classic Yamaha pickguard. And there's your Goto antique brass tuning machine heads. And this 5-piece neck, which is strips of mahogany and rosewood. That used to be Paduke. Nice maple end cap on the heel. This guitar is, when you hold it in your hand, you just know you're holding a handmade instrument. They're absolutely fabulous. Isn't that something else? I've been saying this for years, and Robin Boucher and I have talked about this. The level of artisan craftsmanship that comes out of the custom shop of Yamaha is stunning. It's one of the most amazing things ever in the world of guitar, because they've continued to do it for nearly 60 years. Frankly, in a market where guitar is sort of borrowed from the West, they're taking the best of all the technology and feeding it back to us and going, hey, look at this. This is how much we love and respect what you do. We've perfected our version of this. And indeed they have. This particular guitar retails in store for $31.99. Now, mind you, you might be able to get a deal depending on who you're talking to and what shop you go to. But basically $3,200 for this guitar. It's worth every dime. There's just no question that this guitar will still be working and sounding even better than this 50 years from now. There's just no question in my mind, because I've seen factory Yamahas last that long. These guitars will last at least that long and beyond. They're heirloom quality instruments, and I'd love to draw attention to them, because people are so doubtful when somebody says, I just bought a $3,200 Yamaha. They're like, what? There's such a thing as what? Yes, there is, and this is it. The LJ26. Now, another thing you need to know about this guitar is they used to put pickups in these things, but they don't anymore, and there's a reason for that. It started to be that, like I'm talking, it's ringing, right? It started to be, over the years, that like high-end guitar builders just don't put pickups in unless they're requested to by an individual buyer. And that's because these guitars are starting to attract a lot of attention from heavy-duty players, and the Yamaha knows that each player is going to have his favorite pickup system, whether it be whatever, K&K or some other whatever. If I had this guitar, I would immediately drop a K&K in it. It would sound incredible. So there's no pickup in them, and that's probably a good thing. If you don't want a pickup, it's a great thing. But if you do want one, you have the choice of a post-install, and I would strongly suggest K&K. You could put it under saddle or some other system, whatever. The K&K is going to translate this guitar better than anything you can put in. This is an incredible piece of workmanship by a master luthier and 12 or 14 of his students in a custom shop. And the scary thing is there's 2 more guitars to go in this series. This is just volume number 1. There's 2 more, and they're going to blow your mind. And all I can say is, if you haven't ever played a truly handmade Yamaha, go find one and play it, because it will open your eyes very quickly as to the potential of a shop that's been operating for nearly 60 years and frankly has never built a bad guitar, not to my knowledge. So there you go. Guitar Stuff with John, the Yamaha Holy Trinity. If you like what you see here and you enjoy these things, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the join button if you want to get into the private membership, and we really appreciate you being here. And I'm going to play this guitar. See you next time.